Good evening and welcome to News Night on Metro TV. Up next, the headlines. And in the headlines tonight, Ghana National Ambulance Service launches investigation into viral video showing bystanders soliciting for funds for fuel to convey accident victims from the Cape Coast MANKESSIM highway. The Ghana Chamber of Mines will sell about 125,000 ounces of gold to the Bank of Ghana to augment the country's foreign reserve. On the foreign front, Iran's president vows to take action against protesters after more than a week of anti-government demonstrations. Hello again, and let's go into the details now. Christopher Echo Clark Kwanzaa, the Tufohini of Ekumfi Akwakrom and the prime suspect in the MANKESSIM murder case, in which Georgina Asor Bochwe, a prospective nursing student, was murdered and buried, is remanded to police custody and is reported to have died in police cells. All right, so let's go to the central region now and speak to our correspondent, Kwesi Ado. Kwesi, good evening, and thank you for joining us. I know you've been digging into this story, and that you will give us more perspective as to what you have found out so far.
Okay, good evening. So the chief, Nana Ebo Kwanzaa Clark, as indicated by the police, is still alive and kicking. So the earlier rumors that the chief had passed on in police cells is false. Now, what we had earlier on gathered was that some members or some family members of the chief had actually visited the police cells just to find out how the chief was faring, but could not see him. And so it triggered the anxiety that maybe he might have passed on. And so some persons began to generate information that hither to arrest the chief had taken in a poisonous substance, and so he was believed to have complained of stomach pains and not right to the.
Hello, Kwesi, are you there? Well, we're speaking to Kwesi Ado, who is our correspondent in the central region, and he was giving us a little details in what he has found out in the murder of the prospective nursing student in the central region. Hello, Kwesi.
Yeah, hello.
Okay, please continue.
Okay, so just as I was saying, it was rumored earlier on that the chief, Nana Ebo Kwanzaa Clark, had passed on this afternoon, and that that piece of information was actually generated as a result of fear and anxiety amongst some family members who were reported to have visited the police cells to find out about how the chief was faring in police cells, but had actually met his absence. But the police has subsequently denied that the chief has passed on and that he and the other accomplice are still alive and kicking. And then the police is continuing with the investigation to regard to the murder and burial of Georgina Asor Bochwe in the residential apartment of the chief.
Hello, Kwesi.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, great. So have you spoken to the police, and what are they saying?
Okay, so I spoke to the police, and then the police denied the information that is being circulated that the chief has passed on. But if the police could not say wherever the chief is currently at.
All right. So, Kwesi, the line is a little bit dodgy. Are you there? Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you.
Okay. So, what about some of the citizens? Have they been able to confirm the suspicion that the chief has died in police cells?
Okay. There has not been any kind of confirmation, apart from the fact that most of the residents are only speculating about the death of the chief.
All right. So I'm sure you'll find out more details. We'll be coming back and bring more details to our viewers of Metro TV as the story keeps developing. Thank you, Kwesi. That's Kwesi, our Central Region correspondent, bringing us that detail. Now, one person has been severely injured in a land guard attack at Tuansa in the Gomwa East District of the Central Region. So the victim, who had his fingers nearly chopped off, is currently receiving treatment at the St. Gregory Catholic Hospital in Gomwa, Budumbrem. Even though the Gomwa East District Assembly has barred the activities of land guards within the district, it appears that some land guards are yet to cease their activities. In a fresh attack, the Asafo Hini of the Gomwa Tuansa was attacked by some persons suspected to be land guards on Saturday. An eyewitness spoke to Metro TV News.
Safohene nti nana mu nsa ase no eya ndra me de police fo bi koya arrest nti no anope na me se me kwa akofa so ahwe se omo ye adwuma na ase omo egya oma we kame na me hu se ya kojoku ne boys ni bi aba tenno kwame idi ma papa mu aba rushe me ene ne some other 3 guys bi aba rushe me enti makwala na oti mechi no ma me hu ane se omo atam 35 so omo di twa ne tirimu enti me moto no mu kra na me de mensa de gye so lucky omo atwa mensa no mu pa etna ha na enye yize me within seconds na me ni so bile me na omo tan me de me ba hospital eye ya kojoku no owo feta sa so na odi boni owo ho na odi boni na odi hye ye asafuma no say ye langard for ye kalangard is the first person owo notorious langard ewo feta sa so me ye asafo hene.
So in other news tonight, a security analyst, Adib Sani, says one of the leading causes of the recent sporadic killings in the country is a low prosecution rate on the part of the police. He said the situation where criminals escape prosecution due to the lack of evidence ceases if government hopes to discourage crime in the country. He advised government to invest in intelligence gathering and investigation processes.
The issue we've had to contend with in Ghana is the low prosecution rate. Even if it happens, the evidence is always not good enough to get the suspects found guilty. And so people feel that if they perpetrate murder, the probability that they will be prosecuted is low. They are encouraged to do it. In criminology, that is called rational choice theory. But if they know that we have improved investigation processes in Ghana, and the probability that he will be caught if he perpetrates the crime is there, it discourages the crime from happening in the first place, or the potential criminal from going ahead to commit that act. That is why we need to invest in crime and investigation in Ghana. We don't seem to have the necessary logistics. We don't even have the databases. For example, we are supposed to have a biometric database of all citizens available to the police under strict conditions. In other countries, there's DNA database. In the US, it is called the CODIS. Okay, so when someone perpetrates a crime, they are able to harvest the fingerprints, they are able to harvest the DNA as well, run it in the database. Some is state, then at the national level if they don't make any breakthrough at the state level, and it helps a great deal in breaking the cases that usually come before the police. So we really need to improve the investigation processes in Ghana, so it serves as a disincentive to potential.
All right, so the Ashanti Regional Police Command have arrested some 21 persons who are suspected to be illegal immigrants housed in a 5-bedroom enclosed house at Akokwamong in the Jiso municipality of the Ashanti region. The arrest followed a tip-off by some community members in the area who noticed the abnormal behavior of the foreign nationals in the community.
According to the residents of Akokwamong in the Ejiso municipality of the Ashanti region, the suspected illegal immigrants have been in the area for over 3 months now, housed in a self-contained 5-bedroom house. Their inferior behavior made the residents suspicious. They then hinted the assemblyman for the area, Daniel Ousu, who then informed his unit committee members, and they mobilized and stormed the house, where some 21 of the suspected illegal immigrants were detained by the assembly member and his team.
Almost school no matter what, by a building in school piano matino. A month for no more than Mokeke. Well, Crancy and the country chichis are Cameroon for Nibu, but near who feel Potia no more day, and then Yamiadum committee for no Yeti Huguma, Hanako side in Tino. One way you be few right at Oklahoma money. I think I will be at school crowds and about some of mine. And if Kumia will be anyone who I say, Omusha, and then Chess will be Chess cross will be for her. If Somlania took it and a pay credit, I need to be try, a destroy be try and send you Bodom who say, Omo, Tia Gusua, 2 1 more.
A resident of the area, Muhammad Ali Alpha, said for the past 3 weeks, they noticed their movement in the community, and in the wake of serial killings and other fraud activities in some parts of the country, they decided to report them to the appropriate authorities.
My dream say because meaning say Francophones be Ghana be English. So my dream say be a woman be brofo no mako. It some say most English and about catch them say Annie. Okay, no problem. And me cry say I was some because me cry because sometimes we as citizens sometimes you can't take law in your own hand just to do something. So based on the mian katan nanka me share immigration office. Nanka na makwa ko mama nanka no ma be because say nya obi a oba a friend say krom ha genuinely. Sometimes the security so than the obi a
The operation by the police drew attention of several residents who gathered in front of the house to catch a glimpse. Meanwhile, the Ashanti Regional Police Command is yet to make a comment on the arrest.
Now, fire has destroyed a 4-bedroom apartment at Asinfosu. The unfortunate incident occurred around midnight on Friday when the victims were all fast asleep. Even though there were no casualties, properties worth millions of cedis were burnt to ashes by the blazing high inferno. The victims have, however, been rushed to the hospital for medical attention. And the Ghana National Ambulance Service has launched an investigation into a viral video in which some standers-by were seen soliciting for funds to buy fuel to transport some victims to hospital on the Cape Coast Highway. So the video got many Ghanaians chastising the service and questioning its mandate. But Deputy Public Relations Officer Simon Yusuf Keura says he believes the video is a complete misrepresentation of the facts.
This video will show some eyewitnesses soliciting for funds to buy fuel in an ambulance to convey some accident victims went viral. The emergency medical technicians were seen attending to the victims while the purported fundraising activity was ongoing. But in a statement, the National Ambulance Service confirmed the ambulance in the video is part of its fleet, but added it had enough fuel before it was dispatched to the accident scene. Deputy Director of Public Affairs at the National Ambulance Service says investigations are ongoing.
We at the National Ambulance Service, particularly the management, when we saw the video circulating on the social media, we were not comfortable with the state of affairs at that particular moment. So quickly, the CEO of ambulance service directed me as a PR to put up a statement or to do some investigation before we put up investigation. With our preliminary investigation that we conducted, we realized it is wise to put up a statement reassuring Ghanaians that we are top of the situation and we are going to control the situation. So I wasn't happy because it is unprofessional to see people standing by an ambulance soliciting for money that they are going to buy fuel or to support the ambulance crew to buy fuel. It is never done anywhere and it's not part of our operations. So, and that's why we quickly put up this press release and also asked our Central Regional Administration to investigate into the matter, because we have procedures where we deal with our investigation. So we asked them to put up a team together. They have a team, a standing by team. Any problem, they will go into the matter.
He added that the service needs more support to stay afloat.
Sometimes they misquote or whatever we are asking for. You know, we have various types of cases. We have non-emergency cases and emergency cases. For example, if you are at the hospital and you are being discharged and you want to use an ambulance to transport you to your house, how do you expect us to do this for free? If you are in the hospital, you have come, you are asked to go and do X-ray, and you want an ambulance to take you, some of these things are not emergency cases. If a case is being referred from Kumasi, let's say for example Kumasi to Accra, and you know the ambulances are constituency ambulances, the fuel that has been supplied to them is within the jurisdiction of the ambulance, the constituency. So if it is going out from the constituency far away to Accra, definitely we have to request for fuel support, so that when we come back, we can still have some fuel in the ambulance to cater for its main purpose.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Health has proposed a review of the Ambulance Services Bill to enable a charge some amount for non-emergency services.
Let's go to Ho, where there is disagreement over who becomes the next regional chief imam at a newly built mosque. Some residents allege the Volta regional minister is seeking to make a unilateral appointment against their wish. There is more coming up.
The Ho Central Mosque has been under lock and key for the past 2 years due to disagreement between two factions over who becomes the legitimate chief imam. This has compelled Muslims to pray in open spaces at the mercy of the weather. A Facebook post by the Volta regional minister suggesting that one Alhaji Muniru Ali has received the blessings of the national chief imam has triggered the anger of the followers of the other party, Alhaji Alpha Anas.
The regional minister to send the message to the few people within the office of the national chief imam that they should not attempt coming to Ho as they plan. If not, the youth are prepared to die in the way of Islam. If that is what it will take for them right thing to be done. So therefore, when we went to the national chief imam, even the office of national chief imam is divided. The advisory board has been divided into two. When we went to the national chief imam, the advisory board, national chief imam ordered us to see the advisory board. When we went to the advisory board were asking of the certificate. When we submit the certificate to the advisory board, they were all shocked. Everybody was shocked.
The land is belonged to Imam Anas as a leader in the region. The land is not for us, it's for one family registered The time we were building the mosques, they are against us. We stood on us that we should not build it. Today, we build it and they say no. If so, they will not take it, they will sell it for us. And we'll buy it, and we'll have a document on it, registered 100% in the name of the team of Imam Anas Hamid.
Information available to Metro News indicate that after the press conference, the police invited the youth leader for a discussion. However, the supporters went to the station in their numbers, a move that nearly escalated. The regional minister is, however, yet to comment on the issue.
Right, it's Newsnight on Metro TV. We'll return shortly with some more.
Hello, boy. I graduate. Hello, boy. That's the way that I depend before I can feed myself. And I have a family too. Because of this work, you don't even get a wife to marry. Because people may say, oh, you are not doing any work.
Newsnight on Metro TV, and it's a struggle for many beneficiaries of the Nation Builders Core program. The initiative gave them a glimmer of hope that one day they too will be gainfully employed. But many are gnashing their teeth in regret as they have been asked to vacate their posts with no salaries for 10 months. My colleague Desmond Okreku-Danso caught up with Kenneth Nsia, one of the beneficiaries in Techimai, who is now forced to work as a loading boy.
It's been 3 weeks since the NABCO program introduced by the Akufo-Addo-led government in 2018 came to an end. The program, which was to provide temporary employment for unemployed graduates and improve their skills and employability, saw about 100,000 personnel enrolled onto various modules, including the education and health sectors. After 3 years, when the program was to come to an end, government extended it for an additional year into 2022 and eventually ended on 1st September amid opposition from the personnel as they held several demonstrations and called for the arrears to be paid. On my recent trip to Techiman in the Bono East region, I came across one of such personnel who, after the program ended, has been left frustrated and is owed 11 months arrears from the program. Kennedy Nsia is a graduate from a teacher training school who now works at the Techiman station as a loading boy after leaving the classroom where he taught TREE and RME. During our conversation, Kennedy showed me his details from the NABCO portal. Kennedy then told me his experience working under the NABCO program as a pupil teacher in Techiman.
I started NABCO 2018, and after that, the government of Ghana promises of making us a permanent employment since 2020, and then our contract also expired 2021, and since then they haven't given us even a peso. Since last year January that they gave us something as a peanut, but since then they haven't made us permanent employment or neither pay us. They said that we should go home, even the owners, but they haven't give us anything. So we don't know what we should go home and do. But I was a class teacher. I was teaching at Techima Methodist JHSA. I used to teach TREE and then RME.
He says life has become unbearable for him, just like his other colleagues, and is frustrated because the last money he received from NABCO was in October 2021.
Currently, I'm now a loading boy, a graduate loading boy here. That's the way that I depend before I can feed myself. And I have a family too. Because of this work, you don't even get a wife to marry. Because people may say, oh, you are not doing any work. So that's why I'm here. So as it stands now, we don't know what they are telling us. So it has yielded to nothing.
Just like Kennedy, over 100,000 personnel across the country who participated in the NABCO program would have to find new sources of livelihoods as they still wait on authorities whom they have demonstrated and petitioned to pay them their over 7 months arrears. Until then, it is each one for himself, God for us all. From Techiman in the Bono East region, Desmond Okreku-Danso for Metro News.
And some road contractors working on roads within the Jama in South Municipality have had their contracts terminated. The MCE for the area, Andrews Bediakon, said delay in meeting the target has necessitated the action.
Road contractors who were working on roads within the Jama South Municipality have been hit with contract termination. The municipal chief executive of the area, Andrews Bediakon, said they had to take the contract back and award it to new contractors due to failure to complete the work as agreed on.
All the contractors are not currently on site, so over the week I went to Accra to see the roads minister, who has agreed that we should terminate the contract because looking at the rate at which they are working, they don't have the capacity. Especially the one working on the Drobo Kwamse Kron Road, Prempe, Amo Prempe and Co. Unfortunately, the contractor is dead. And what I am hearing is that the contractor, the children and the wife have some issues that they are unable to settle. Due to that, they are unable to come on site to work. So currently, you go there and they are not there. I've chased them to Sunyani, I've chased them to Fida Rose, I've chased them to Accra and wherever. So finally, I had to go to the minister in Accra last week, who has agreed that we should terminate the contract and look for a competent contractor who can manage the road for us.
Meanwhile, the former member of parliament for the area, Mama Afo, whose tenure the contract were awarded, said he would add his strength to get the roads fixed. The Drobo Kwesi Bokrom Road, Drobo Japekrom, and other roads within the area are currently in a deplorable state and should be fixed as soon as possible.
The ministers of community are not a contractor or resourceful or awarding no economy.
There is a growing pressure in the area for roads to be fixed for motorists due to the state of the current road network.
Also on News Night tonight, Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Dr. Peter Otokuno, says the decision by General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Esidu Nketia, to vie for the chairmanship position of the party would not create a division since he is very experienced and well placed to lead the party into the 2024 elections. He spoke to my colleague Moro Audu a while ago on Inside Pages.
We are a democratic party and nobody is beyond elections. Never have we gone for any elections that anybody has gone unopposed. Okay. Even the greatest president, former president of our party, who is going to be the next president, people tend to contest him. In the last primaries, we had 6 people contesting him. So contest is very good. When you put up contest, it reaffirms the support and the belief of the people in the leadership of those who would win. So I don't foresee anywhere, by any stretch of imagination, that would go for contest and it would divide the party. No, not at all. Look, since I started this party, we have gone to even more turbulent contests. And like every contest, it's turbulent. Even branch elections. Look at what is happening in some places. Every contest is very turbulent. But the most important thing is that we are one family. When the people decide on you, they have decided on you. When they decide that you are the best person to do the job, you take charge and consolidate the party and bring everybody together. I do not see any division. I do not foresee any division that would be occasioned by General saying that he's going for chairman. And I think that General would be an excellent chairman. He would be a super excellent national chairman. But he has not declared. He has not told anybody if he's going for national chairman.
But Doc,
should General become our national chairman? I have no doubt at all. He has not declared that he's going for chairmanship. You are not aware, I'm not aware. Yeah. But I'm saying that he will be he can be a national chairman in the next 8 years, in the next 12 years. You may never know. But I'm saying that he would be a super national chairman if he's contesting for national chairman. It may be in future. You understand? Honorable Samuel Fosuampofo, I've had very good working with. He's an excellent chairman. You understand? So if the two of them decide that they want to contest for the position, it doesn't mean that any of them is bad.
Let's stay with Dr. Peter Otokuno because he says he is well placed to win the party's general secretary position due to his experience and loyalty to the party's ideology.
There is not only about the contest, it is about 2024. You see, the party must win power in 2024. And not for the sake of the NDC, but for the sake of the Ghanaian people. And I have said repeatedly that if it is power that the NDC is looking for, then the NDC will go for competence, will go for strong leadership, will go for courageous leadership, will go for strategic leadership, a leadership that is accessible, a leadership that can consolidate the party, a leadership that can unite the party. And if these are the things that will win us power in 2024, the NDC cannot go beyond Dr. Peter Otokuno. And the reasons are straightforward. Look,
but how have you proven
in the office of the General Secretary, as it stands now, there is nobody who has experienced the office in these contemporary times and understand the jobs and the nuances of the job than I do. I have worked as a Deputy General Secretary in the last 4 years. And in the last 4 years, what I have ostensibly done is to be in charge of operations, stay on the ground, perfect my skills in elections, which I've been doing for the past 12 years, perfect my understanding of the running of the party. And all these strategic things that I've spoken about earlier are things that have been driven by a bigger vision of growing the party. You can't win elections when you don't have a strong party. You see, you don't have a construction job for a mason and you go and pick an electrician to come and construct a building. When you learn a job as a mason and you graduate, you work as a mason. You don't go and work as a radio presenter. You understand? I have learned the job as a general secretary. In fact, all those who are contesting, none of them has learned the job as I have done. So there's nobody prepared for the job better than me right now, as it stands now.
That's fine.
Unless the general mosquito himself.
Now, pupils of Chibi Presbyterian Demonstration School are studying in overcrowded classrooms. Despite increase in enrollment, the available infrastructure is unable to meet the growing demand, a situation which is seriously affecting teaching and learning.
The headmistress speaking in an interview with the media after receiving a set of desktop computers and some monodesks from an old student who is also the Akwanswahini for the Achimebwakwa traditional area, Nana Kwame Esiedu, disclosed that the school lacks basic infrastructure to meet the growing demand. As a result, management is compelled to ask the pupils to bring chairs and tables from their homes to the school daily.
We have more students, so we want to divide every class into two. So we want some people to come into our aid to build pavilions for us so that we can divide the classes into two so that we get classes A and B. In fact, most of the time, the desks always get broken. And then the computers, we need them. We are now innovating our computer lab, so we need computers. So people should bring us more computers.
The Achimebwakwa Akwanswahini Nana Kwame Esiedu pledged his continued support to the school.
More than that.
You're watching Newsnight on Metro TV, also available on channel 277 on DSTV. We will return soon with the business news. Welcome back, and now to the business side of the news. And mining companies in Ghana have pledged to sell at least 125,000 ounces of gold to Ghana's central bank in the last quarter of this year to shore up the country's foreign reserves. The statement issued by the Ghana Chamber of Mines said the gold sales will be under the Bank of Ghana's domestic gold purchase program against the backdrop of the country's weakening foreign exchange position. The Bank of Ghana will purchase a portion of the gold output of all the gold mining companies at world market price, but pay for them in Ghanaian currency. It added this arrangement was to augment Ghana's foreign exchange reserves over time and strengthen the country's balance of payments position. And rating agency Fitch has downgraded Ghana's long-term local and foreign currency issuer default ratings to CC or further junk status from CCC. This is the second time in 2022 that it has downgraded Ghana's credit worthiness. It is also coming 2 days after President Akufo-Addo took a swipe at ratings agencies at the UN conference for unfairly assessing and rating African countries poorly at a time the global economy was going through a difficult period. The downgrade, it said, reflects the increased likelihood that Ghana will pursue a debt restructuring given mounting financing stress with surging interest costs in domestic debt and also a prolonged lack of access to Eurobond markets. So this comes almost a month after the country suffered a bit when its credit rating was downgraded by Fitch Ratings from B to CCC in August 2022. The assessment signifies a very high-level credit risk where a default appears probable. Now, before we go on, an economist, let's hear what the president had to say about rating agencies at the UN General Assembly in New York.
Become clear, if ever there was any doubt, that the international financial structure is skewed significantly against developing and emerging economies like Ghana. The avenues that are open to powerful nations to enable them take measures that would ease pressures on their economies are closed to small nations. To make matters worse, credit rating agencies have been quick to downgrade economies in Africa, making it harder to service our debts. The tag of Africa as an investment risk is little more than in substance a self-fulfilling prophecy created by the prejudice of the international money market, which denies us access to cheaper borrowing, pushing us deeper into debts. The financial markets have been set up and operate on rules designed for the benefit of rich and powerful nations. And during times of crisis, the facade of international cooperation under which they purport to operate disappears. These are the savage lessons that we have had to take in as the world emerged from the grip of the coronavirus to energy and food price hikes and the world rise in the cost of living. The necessity for reform of the system is compelling.
Right. President Akufo-Addo right there expressing his frustrations and concerns with rating agencies recently at the UN General Assembly. So let's go on phone right now and speak to Courage Buti, who is an economist. Courage, what does all this mean?
Well, a very good evening to your listeners. Practically means that Fitch is saying, from the look of things and from their models, Ghana is at the verge of a default, and we necessarily must be doing something about debt restructuring now to actually sustain the boat, really. Already there is talk on the local market about debt restructuring. We have seen the speed with which the Ministry of Finance have responded to some recent rating decisions. But I think this story broke out much earlier, but formally through Bloomberg somewhere midweek last week. Until date, there is yet to be a response. Already, I think a 5-year bond matured last month. And then at the auction, investors failed to tender in a lot of demand for that bond. Ultimately, the auction was cancelled, and government have had to rely on the Bank of Ghana to pay off those debts. Another maturity is coming up next month from the look of things, early next month, from the look of things, it doesn't look like the local market may be too open to rolling over that maturity. If Bank of Ghana doesn't step it again, a default could be actually very closer to us than Fitch is trying to paint the picture. As it stands now, we do not have an access to the Eurobond market to roll over any of our Eurobond maturities, really, and that is a big burden. And the fact that IMF program is still pending, we've not had any substantial progress yet. If you start a 2023 budget cycle with such a scenario of no IMF program, no access to international capital market, what you would suffer is maybe a worse form of the depreciation we saw from the beginning of this year, which has run through the rest of the year, really. So the picture is not great, and that is what Fitch is flagging out, really.
Okay, so this all sounds like government business with IMF and international agencies. So tell me, why should this downgrade matter to Ghanaians?
Oh, it matters. In fact, it matters significantly because it's really just a restatement of what we already know. I'm not sure there is anything in that Fitch report. There's several reasons they've cited: lack of access to the Eurobond market, the increasing likelihood of debt restructuring that may include local debt, and the many other reasons they cited. I think these are things we already are aware of. What it just tells us is that probably the problem of the fiscals and the problem of maybe the economic challenge we have now is probably much dire than all of us are probably taking it. I'm not preaching panic. Government is in a difficult situation, and the earlier we make progress with the IMF, the better for it, because that seemed to be the only logical backstop now for us, where with the IMF holding our hand and saying we're supporting you, we could regain some credibility and probably regain access to the international capital market. Because if we are not borrowing, the option we have is that we just do the absolutely essential stuff, pay workers, pay for goods and services that will keep state institutions running, but no real investment and capex and all of that, because already interest payment alone is consuming more than 50% of our tax revenue, or the revenue we are generating domestically. So if we add wages and salaries, and then you add the maybe other essential stuff that we cannot do with, call it non-discretionary spending, what is left for other stuff is very minimal, right? And so government would have to speed up negotiations with the IMF, or in the 2023 budget cycle, no one should be expectant of any rosy fiscal interventions that might aid growth or help reduce the burden of the local populace, really, because the money is simply just not there. The e-levy that was hoped to support the revenue basket really performed extremely woefully. A combination of stuff, probably the earlier issues addressed, plus the cynicism of, every other actor that maybe tried to oppose the whole program is a big part of. And these are things we warn about, that e-levy might not be too palatable, it might not be too attractive, but if we do not go that route to rake in more revenue, in fact, the nation could struggle. And this is right here we are, really. So the picture is very gloomy for 2023 unless we are able to make progress with the IMF. And in these circumstances, I do not see new taxes coming in. I do not see how else government can improve tax revenue, in 2023, if they do not try to impose new taxes, really. And that is why we must do all we can to get a program in place by the start of the 2023 fiscal year.
Okay, Courage, we're grateful for the input. Well, it doesn't look great, but well, I hope something can be done quickly to bring peace to Ghanaians. You're watching Newsnight on Metro TV. Next is the sports news. And in our sports segment tonight, Black Stars head coach Otto Addo has admitted he made mistakes with his selection on Friday night as Black Stars suffered a 3-0 loss to the Seleção of Brazil in an international friendly match. In what can be described as a one-sided game, Brazil's first half brilliance did the damage as they put 3 goals past Ado's starting lineup. Now, the game came under huge criticism, and the gaffer was quick to admit he made mistakes in the clash against the 5-time world champions at Le Havre in France.
And I start with myself because maybe the system was wrong. I have to look at it again and question myself first, and but also I will look at the boys. It's not always like when we play bad, maybe it's the boys' fault, or so I take myself in that as well. Gamble, I mean, it's not never a gamble, you know. It's a decision of a lot of complex things. So we have new players in the team, but also I think they should deserve to come into the first 11.
Not that much. So the Black Stars of Ghana suffered their 5th defeat against Brazil on Friday night after losing 3-0 at the Stade Ocean in Le Havre, France. So a Richarlison brace and another for Marquinhos were enough for Tete's side to pick up a win over the Ghanaian team in the international friendly match. So some Ghanaian football fans have been reacting to the loss.
The game was excellent. I don't know the Otto Addo's tackle or his performance on that day, but what I would say is that he did not select the players as the way I want it to be. And fortunately or unfortunately, we should have played Brazil for the first place. To my opinion, we should have played Brazil for the first place. And secondly, his way of selection was so bad to me. Because if you want your first 11, Salisu was somebody who's supposed to start. Inaki is supposed to start. We know these players. Afenyejan, we know him. We know Jordan Ayew style of play already. And you want your first 11, it should be the new players that are coming on board are the players you need to give them that opportunity. At the end of the day, you get your best out. But
actually, the players who started the first half, on my behalf, I think we didn't play much of a teamwork. Yeah, so the telepathy of the game wasn't as high as expected of Ghanaians. So I think second half, the game was a little bit better. The changes and everything brought some kind of changes in the game.
Born in the nice game, but Shadow share so a build a timono, Sabaya, your co cup, and I know my share between one and one. And Radia made too many dear formation coach in a boy, and class and comma Nike Trabinch or some cool or Manestate, because when I didn't caba, you be home born. To so many didn't cabo, and lamb Timunina.
To the first half, is that things doesn't go well at all, but the second half is okay. Again, I've seen that the Brazilians are strong than Black Star Ghanaians. And what I was seeing to...
And that's the sport. We have international news coming up.
A 48-hour strike by air traffic controllers in West Africa and Central Africa has been suspended. The strike, which started on Friday, has disrupted flights across the region and left hundreds of passengers stranded at the airport on Saturday. President Ibrahim Raisi has said Iran must deal decisively with protests which have swept the country after the death in custody of a woman detained by the Islamic Republicans Morality Police. At least 35 people have been killed in the week-long demonstration across the Iran state. The Economic Community of West African States has announced more sanctions on Guinea's military government after it failed to establish a new schedule for a transition to democracy. In an extraordinary summit held on Thursday on the sidelines of the United Nations, leaders from West Africa's main political and economic bloc agreed to freeze military government members' financial assets and barred them from traveling to other countries in the region. The regional bloc also gave Guinea until October 22 to establish a reasonable timetable or face additional sanctions.
That's all for Newsnight on Metro TV. Thanks for your company, and we'll see you again.